you tell me what Amazon is doing with respect to the public services sector? Can you just give me an overview of what's happening there?
Public sector for us really is government, education, non-profits, of course healthcare and some parts of public sector units as well. So within public sector, as I said, let me actually step back and give you some context on something that is famous because of Amazon. It's called the Amazon flywheel.
Okay.
Right. So the way the flywheel works is we start with the customer. So the customer experience is at the heart of the flywheel. And what we say is if you're enriching the customer experience, that will increase traffic to the e-commerce portal, if you may. And as traffic increases, so do sellers who are attracted to the e-commerce platform to bring about their wares for the customers. As sellers increase on the platform, so does selection, because now you have new category of products available. And as selection increases, the customer experience improves. So it's a virtuous cycle, which is a win-win between customers and sellers, right? And as this flywheel runs, there's growth for Amazon. And what we do with that growth is, as it gives us economies of scale, we pass it back to the customers in the form of lowering prices. So let me give you a couple of examples of use cases that are very prevalent amongst a number of government agencies, and you'll relate to why that is. So Government of India, as you know, is very data rich. It's very content rich, right? But this data, this content is available in multiple different departments, in different silos, in different formats. And despite the fact that we've had a digitalization drive for a long time, the data would still be available in documents which are scanned digitally as PDFs, right? But how do you run analytics on these documents? How do you make sense of this data? How do you build machine learning models on top of this data? So there's a missing step, which becomes a requirement for, in fact, a set of missing steps which become requirements for these government departments, and several of them. Simply put, how can I search? How can I know what I already know? Right? How can I search within all the trove of knowledge that my government department has access to? But behind the scenes, imagine what is happening. We're setting up machine learning models. We're setting up clusters of machines to process these documents. But the front end, the experience for the end user is that we provide just within the AWS console itself, we provide a search engine where they can start typing natural language queries. So they can say, so for instance, if I upload all the documents from reInvent, I could ask questions like, how many times have we reduced prices within AWS? And it'll come up with the answer 78 times. Okay. Or I could ask a question, what percentage, and I don't even have to be very accurate in my English, so I can say what percent of TensorFlow runs on AWS, and it'll come up with an answer about 85%. And then with description, with link to that document, which is the source, and a thumbs up, thumbs down, which is a way for the user to further tune the machine learning model.
What are some of the key India-specific challenges that you face?
If you just look at this particular service, right? The first challenge in any technology adoption is to
skill them,
to actually surface requirements, right? And we've actually been very pleased with what we've seen. The departments, the government agencies, the apex bodies actually know what the requirements are, and they're able to articulate those requirements.
Okay.
Within the roundtables that we conduct. In fact, this requirement specifically, that can we have a better search capability, came up in one of those roundtables. And I think the next challenge, if you really look at it, is in terms of procurement. How does the government buy these services as they go along? And what procurement mechanisms would they use, and how do they give opportunity to startups who've already figured all this out for them?
So there are so many interesting projects going on, such interesting details. When do you actually see all of these being deployed into the system and getting some actual quantifiable advantages out of them?
So that's already happening, right? So as we, there's an adoption curve, right, to any technology, to any innovation, and within that adoption curve, if you map out different government agencies and different educational institutions, they would be sitting at different levels of maturity, even within India. So there are early adopters. There are the likes of Byju's, who run on AWS, a business the scale of Byju's, and we're all proud of what they've achieved. And they would use the latest services as they get launched, and experiment with them and see if that would help them deliver the outcomes that they're trying to deliver for students, and in their millions. So, and then you would have government departments who would take their time. They would want to figure out, is this secure? Is this benefiting my citizens, and so on. Government departments asking, can we use machine learning to improve training data for machine learning, right? So we launched Ground Truth. So if you really want to see outcomes, look at what CSCs are achieving. The common service centers are achieving across India, and we're very, very, very proud to support them. Look at what National Skills Development Council, NSDC, is achieving across India for skilling. NSDC runs on AWS, and of course the IITs. So I'm hoping, apart from open source projects which they're contributing, we also have non-profits like Janagra who are contributing. They run on AWS. They use AWS for running their workloads, but we are also collaborating with them to create open data sets. So one of the first India open data sets at scale, more than 200,000 odd images which are machine learning ready. We have published for free. It's at no cost to Janagra. It's within their account, but we've listed it for free and on the registry of open data within AWS.
A final question: if you have to pick a couple of case studies which you feel will have the most impact in the coming couple of years, so what would you say are those case studies, and how will be the most impactful?
Agriculture is a big area where if we move the needle even a little bit, it will have benefit for a number of Indian citizens. Now, within agriculture, IFCO is a customer, so within a matter of weeks, they were able to launch an e-commerce portal for farmers, where they could provide, again, digital learning for farmers in terms of improving their crop yield. So, how to spray insecticide in a proper way, or how to identify a problem with your crops early on, and so on. There are other projects underway. I won't be able to share names because we don't have permission, where we're actually looking at crop yield analytics. So we're combining open data, machine learning to do automated analytics around crop yield, which would again help the farmers. Then if you look at any country, India at large, healthcare. So we are actively working with startups, we call them GovTechs, or healthcare startups, where we are enabling them to better serve government customers. There are also AWS services called Deep Racer, which helps you learn about autonomous car driving at a very accessible cost. Deep Lens, which helps you learn about image recognition, video recognition. Again, within a few thousand of rupees, you can get that device. All tied back into SageMaker and into our machine learning capabilities. So yes, these are some of the areas that we are actively working on within public sector India.
Thank you so much for your time.
Right. Thank you.